Hi, my name is Eric E., and I'm going to walk you through the wonders of the QSC Touchmix series of digital mixers. Now, I'll assume you're interested in a digital mixer, and I'll assume since you looked up QSC, you're very intelligent, because this is absolutely the best value out there right now for an 8-channel or a 16-channel digital mixer. It's the perfect one to start with as a first digital mixer like I did. You may be stuck on analog, what you know about analog, and not want to get into the complexity, that what you think is the complexity of a digital mixer. But I guarantee you, once you've seen what it can do and the things that you can't do with an analog mixer, once you've seen how easy it'll make your life and the benefits, you're not going to turn back. You're going to get one and never look back. It's fantastic. Now, just to introduce myself and let you know why I'm worth listening to, my opinion. I'm a guitarist and singer-songwriter. I play acoustic guitar and sing, so usually I just run three guitar channels simultaneously, and a looper channel and a microphone. But I've been gigging since 1979. I did 250 shows a year for 17 years, and then I backed it off to about 150 shows a year up until now. And so I definitely know what is needed on a live performance and why this is incredible. I've used this for a year now, and so I've seen all the benefits firsthand. I've seen its consistency, and that it never fails, it never has any issues, and it just keeps getting better. The amazing thing about a digital mixer too is they keep upgrading the software. So it's way better now than when I bought it. And it didn't cost it keeps getting better, and it doesn't cost me anything to make it better. It's incredible. Now, the first thing I want to show you about this is just its incredibly small size. You can see it's only a couple inches deep in the back, and in the front it gets even more shallow, just like an inch. And you can tell by my hands on it, it's very, very small. It's about the size of a notebook, and it weighs almost nothing, which is amazing. And it came with this awesome carrying case that I didn't even have to buy, which is also extremely lightweight. Velvet inside, space for the cable and microphones and things. And again, I love having it in this rack. These rack ears you can order extra. I love having it in this rack because I can have everything plugged in. Now, one of the things about a digital mixer, this particular digital mixer that'll blow you away, is I can have a recording hard drive. I don't know if you can see this. I have a hard drive tied in here that's hooked up to the mixer all the time. And this hard drive is about the size of a deck of cards, even thinner. And every time I just plug this into the wall, turn it on, boom, I'm ready to do a gig. But I'm constantly recording to the hard drive. Have you ever had that situation where you'd love to make an album, and you've tried to make an album, but in the studio you can just never get the exact the feel? You know, you play better live when there's an audience that you can feed off their energy. And it can be very, very difficult in the studio, and very difficult to have to get it right while you're paying someone per hour to sit there and go through your 30th and 40th mistake and keep with you. But have you ever finished performing live and you've said to yourself, that is the best I've ever played that song? And you wish, oh, I wish I had a recording of that. Well, what if you could easily record every gig you do? And when you have a song like that, make a little checklist on your check mark on your set list, or just remember that song, I want to keep that one. And then go home and boom, you've got a perfect energy recording of that song. It doesn't take long to put together a live album that way. And it records all the tracks separately, so that you can mix them in something like Pro Tools and have complete mixing control over them, just like you would in the studio. And that's just one example. And I'm going to show you everything, but that's one of the examples of something that I just love about this thing. It's tiny, it's lightweight, and I can record all my shows very easily on a $100 hard drive. Now, before I get further into showing you all the details, I want to briefly point out the things about this mixer that absolutely blow me away and that make it impossible for me to ever go back to analog. First of all, I mentioned that you can record live all tracks separately for full mixdown capability. The coolest thing is you can save scenes of a complete mix. So you're in one club, you get your sound exactly the way you want it, your EQ, your levels, everything. With an analog mixer, the next time you come back to that room, you've got to reset your entire mixer from the last place you played. With this thing, you press one button, boom, you bring back up, all the sliders go where they were, everything is exactly the way it was, EQ, everything. So to be able to save scenes with a digital mixer is pretty much the best thing about a digital mixer. It's incredible. You've also got, in a tiny mixer this size, you've got 4 world-class effects unit. Compressors, each channel, you can have compressors, limiters, delays, gates, reverbs, chorus, notch filters for perfect precision with eradicating feedback, even pitch correction if you need that and want to use it. You've got 4 band EQ on each channel. You can mix, you can go to the back of the room and mix with your iPad, adjust levels with your iPad or your smartphone, which is incredible. You've got 8 mute groups. So you can decide, I just want to mute all the drum mics, or I want to mute all the vocal mics. Press one button, boom. That's easy, incredibly easy to set up. You've got 8 of those, 8 mute groups. You've also got 8 DCA groups, which means you can take, like let's say you've got 4 microphones on the drums, and you don't want to have to adjust all 4 sliders every time you want to turn the drums up and down. You just save them to a group. The drum mic's on one group, and then you've got that slider, you turn that up, all 4 channels adjust. All 4 mics adjust up and down or however you want. You've got 8 of those groups. You've got programmable user buttons that you can set these buttons to do just about whatever you want. You've got an onboard manual with you. Even with an analog mixer, you got to haul around a big old user manual and try to look at it in the dark of a club if you are stuck. With this, you've got the entire user manual with you, and you've got wizards that'll walk you through, make it incredibly simple to do certain kinds of setup. You've got security lockout modes so that you could have this in your church or in your club. Nobody can use it but you. That's fantastic. You've got superb sounding Class A mic preamps, 24-bit digital analog converters, which is really, really good. You've got 12 total inputs on an 8-channel mixer, and you've even got 6 languages. You can have the entire system be in 6 different languages. If you happen to be in Europe or somewhere and your sound man is from another country, he can instantly just set it to his language. And that's just a brief overview of a lot of the things that are just truly amazing about this tiny little thing. And then I'll get further into it to show you some more. In the back, which is really cool, you've got 4 auxiliary inputs. So you can have 4 auxiliary outs to, you could have 4 separate mixes, monitor mixes for a band. All the things you can do with an aux output. You've got 4 of them here, which is fantastic for a mixer this small. Here's where you put in your speakers, left and right XLR outs. You've got 2 inputs for headphones. One can do your aux 3 and 4 and like an in-ear monitor setup, and one just for regular headphones. And then you've got your power goes in here. You've got a USB, tiny little USB dongle about the size of my ring, smaller than that actually, that goes in there. So believe it or not, you can control it with your phone, with your iPhone or an iPad from the other side of the room. And then a USB input for your hard drive. And now here you've got these are all your inputs. You've got stereo in, left and right. This is where I put my iPod into this one. And you have another stereo input to do with what you will. But here's 8 inputs. These 4 take either 1/4 inch or XLR, and these 4 take just XLR. And then you've got your gains, your trim controls for those channels there. Phantom power, you can have phantom power on any of the channels you want, whenever you want or don't want. You can see if I press that, up comes the assignments I can make. I can even label everything. Everything can be labeled exactly the way you want very easily. And that's fantastic. This button, however far you get deep into the menus, you can always just go home. Takes you right back to your main view. Now, this knob is a control knob that's really cool. You can control everything by just touching it and moving everything, just like a regular mixer. But you can select like this and turn things up and down this way if you want. A very cool thing about this button is that it'll make nice smooth gradations like this, but once in a while you want to make a very, very fine adjustment. You just push it in and then you get incredibly fine adjustment. And then a cool thing, you know how you come out of a gig and you move the slider and you wish you could put it back exactly where it was before? Well, you can see here the number. It's giving me a very precise exact number. So I can just go, oh, that was on 9.6, minus 9.6. So you can always put things back exactly the way you wanted. This is a headphone level. You can turn it up, turn it down with that button. Effects mute. Just instantly mute all the effects, like if you want to speak over your mic and not have it full of reverb, which is a very professional way to go. And these 5 knobs are custom user preset, that's why these stickers aren't on the when you buy it. These I put on myself with a label maker, and this one. But I've set this one to my iPod, so it instantly jumps to the iPod channel, so that I can turn up my iPod for my break music or whatever I want to do. iPod, and then here's for my break music. This mutes everything except for the iPod, so that I can, the minute I'm going to go on break, I press break. All 3 of my guitar inputs that I use simultaneously are all muted. My vocal is muted. Everything's muted, so I can unplug and leave things for a whole set break, except the iPod, which is fantastic. And that's easy to set up too. I'll show you how to do that in a bit here. This one, monitor. This one I've just left alone the way it is. It just goes between channels if I want to easily push buttons instead of going over and selecting them manually like this. But you can just touch. You just touch anything. That's why they call it Touchmix. It's incredible. Touch things, turn them up, turn them down. It's absolutely wonderful. So that's pretty much what all these knobs do here. These knobs, this one here is called menu. Now this takes you in and you can go in and do everything the mixer can do from this menu button, which is fantastic. Now this one, remember I was telling you that I record to the hard drive? This is just the record and play. You'll see if I'm not sure if you can see the screen very well from this view. I'll zoom in on the screen here pretty quick. But record and play, all I have to do is that, press record, boom. You know, if I've armed the tracks to be recording, you can see if I press arm, they give me a red indicator that those tracks are armed and going to be recording. So even when I go back to my home view, I can still see what's recording. But if I want to check on turning on or off the recording again, I just do that. Turn it off, turn it on. Absolutely marvelous for recording. And then I'll zoom in on the screen. Now that you've seen the outside and what the buttons are like, I'll zoom in. Now another really cool thing before I do that, this button that says info, you've got your entire user's manual here. It's incredible. I'll show you that later. But imagine just always having the user manual with you for whenever there's anything that you've never worked with that you want to try. And wizard, the wizard button for effects or for setting your levels, it walks you through, and there's all sorts of presets, and it literally walks you through like you don't know, like you never had one, you've never read the manual. Walks you through it, sets everything up perfect for you so you're set up for a gig. Even if you just pop this out of the box right at a gig, you just set wizard, press wizard, and it walks you through it like you're like an idiot, which is me much of the time. So that's pretty much what all the buttons are for. Standby, it gives you a power down the mixer when you're ready to, or you can say no. That's about it for the buttons right now, and then I'll give you a zoomed in screen and show you some more of what it can do. Okay, now I'll go ahead and walk you through some of the on-screen things that you can do here, which is absolutely amazing. You're going to be shocked. This is your main view, and you can go to, just from here, you can go to these different views. Here's your 8 channels. Here's your stereo in channel 9 and 10, stereo in channel 11 and 2, 2-track playback, 2-track recording. Here's your effects masters. I happen to have mine set to chorus and reverb. I labeled those myself, and I didn't label effects 1 and effects 4 yet. You got levels and mute on, mute off. Here's your auxiliary outputs, what I've got them set to: my looper, my monitor, my in-ear monitors. You can just link these together, which is super easy. So you turn them both up at once, up or down at once. And here's your DCA groups that I talked about. I can turn up all 3 of my guitars simultaneously or down with this DCA group, which is really cool. And back to our main view. Now you can label these channels however you want, which is really cool. I've got a Barkus Berry, a Sunrise, and a Bags pickup, all 3 on my guitar. I've got my looper on this channel, my vocal here, a wireless mic here. Now, when you want to get into it, just marvelous. Let's go into my Sunrise guitar pickup. I've got EQ, compression, gate, effects, auxiliaries, presets, and setup. Look at this EQ. Once you get into visual EQing, you just never want to go back. See, because you can see what you're doing. It's so cool to be able to see that. Now let's say right now my low booster cut is at 87 Hertz. Gosh, I wish I had more control. Well, I'll turn off simple mode. Look at that. I've got 4-band EQ with sweeps. I can set my frequency levels whatever I want. If I'm getting a frequency that is feeding back, I can instantly notch out that, and it hardly change my sound at all, but it'll fix the feedback. And if this is a little much for me, I just go back to simple mode. That's incredible. Compression, got a full professional compressor. I can again have that in simple mode if I want. pretty easy if you don't know what you're doing, just simple compression. Gating, and here's 4 effects units. I can go in incredible detail on those. I can make them whatever I want them to be. Here's a chorus. I can do a bunch of reverbs and delays and set them just like a fully professional unit, which is amazing. Here's my auxiliary, what's going on with them. Here's presets. If I want to use presets, or I can just make my own and save them exactly what I want. And here's a setup. See, I can make the channel say whatever I want it to be. I can tell where it's assigned for mute groups, DCA groups. I can arm it to record, phantom mic, even polarity, digital gain. It's truly amazing. Okay. Then I can go into the menu here and show you. Here's the scene saving I was telling you about. They have a bunch of presets you can jump to if you want to, but usually everybody's needs are so specific, it's so easy just to save them as what you want. I've just got a few here. I've got That's a Place I Play, Lookout Pass, Barley Hoppers. Each of those 2 rooms have very, very specific EQ needs. So I just press a button and recall right here, and boom, it's ready. The EQ's all set for that room, which is amazing. Also, I've got overview of all my auxiliary outputs, just so I can see exactly what's happening there. Auxiliary ins and outs. Here's my user buttons. I can set them to do any action that I want practically. It's amazing. I can set all 4 user buttons to whatever I want and then label them whatever I want. This is the one to mute all my channels except the break music. That's cool. Here's your security. I can just lock it so that nobody can get into this but me. Remote control. I can have as many devices as I want here. I just have the one set up to Eric E's iPhone so that I can control my mix from the other side of the room. When I'm sitting on a break and I decide, oh shoot, the break music is too loud, I can turn it down in a minute. And MIDI setup, if you use MIDI, makes that super easy. Everything easily labeled. DCA groups that I told you about, so you can turn a bunch of channels up or down at once. Here's your effects overview, so I can see every channel, every effect, which ones are on, how much. I can go in and adjust them as much as I want. And here's that language thing that I told you about. Mixer setup is easy. I can even adjust the sample rate, the brightness of the screen I can turn down if I want. Oh, this, I can even have a noise generator so I can shoot the room with an analyzer if I want and figure out exactly which frequencies are going to feed back in the room and get the EQ perfectly flat for the room. So I could like go here, go to main EQ. That's the EQ for my whole PA system for the room. And then I have a limiter. I have notch filters, anti-feedback notch filters for the main PA system. And there's presets I can use there or save if I want. Helps me set up. I've got mine set for the QSC powered speakers. There's settings that go with all kinds of speakers, whatever you have that are preset. It's absolutely amazing. And here's your phantom power assignments. And that's about it, I think. So you can see what scene I have saved here. That just says Eric E right now, which is just a generic set of levels and EQ that I use at most venues if I haven't decided to save a setting for that specific venue. So that's about it. That gives you a good overview of the amazing things that this machine can do. And it truly, you will not find any other mixer this good, this small, this lightweight, and for this price. Well, I hope you got a good idea now of what the QSC Touchmix mixers could do for you. It is truly amazing. I think if you have your wife sit through this video, she will be convinced that you would be foolish not to go out and buy one of these. So go to the QSC website, qsc.com, find the nearest dealer to you and go get one of these things. And with this and a couple of the QSC K-Series speakers, you can't go wrong. All you need to bring to the gig is this and the 2 speakers. It's an amazingly compact setup, and you will never want to go back to an analog mixer again. Thanks for taking the time to check it out.